and welcome to the January Lymphedema Patient Roundtable, our first roundtable of 2024. We're so excited you're all here with us today. My name is Alexa. I'm the Marketing and Communications Associate here at Lympha Press, and I'm also a primary lymphedema patient myself. We are so pumped you're here with us tonight. Please let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. In the meantime, I'm going to introduce our panel of patients and professionals. And real quick also, I am in the Northeast where we're getting hit with this massive storm. So if my internet gets funky, same with Catherine, please bear with, and I hope everybody is staying safe and dry tonight. So let's get started. We've got Angela Jones, our lipolymphedema patient and health coach. Hey, Angela, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
We've got Catherine Rosenberg, pediatric cancer survivor, secondary lymphedema patient, advocate, and math teacher. Winter break is over, so math questions, go to Catherine. We have Karen Ashforth, our certified lymphedema therapist and fibrosis queen. Hi, Karen. Oh my gosh. How are you? We've got Amanda Sobey, lymphedema patient, certified personal trainer, nutritionist, and president of the Lymphedema Association of Manitoba up to the north in Canada. Hey, Amanda. And we've also got Nasreen Starner, certified lymphedema therapist and clinical rehabilitation specialist for the Cleveland Clinic. We're so glad to see you tonight, Nasreen. Happy New Year. All right, so as always, questions can go in the Q&A box. We'll get to those about halfway through the evening, and we will do our best to answer them. As well, we like the reminder that we are not here to give you personal medical advice. We're not your therapist or your doctors, but we can speak from our own experience. So we are excited to get started tonight, and we're seeing a lot of fun and familiar names in the chat and some new names too. So I'm going to hush up. I'm going to put Angela Jones on the hot seat. I know she loves when I do that. Angela, you're currently going through complete decongestive therapy. Can you give us an update on how that's been going for you and what your experience is like?
I actually did 3 full weeks, Monday through Friday of CDT. I found a wonderful therapist here in Arizona, which is where I am now. And I'd go every day. She'd wrap my leg. I think there were like 5 layers of material. So it was very heavy. It was very difficult to move my leg. But the first day, I lost over an inch from that leg. All total on the right leg, because she only did the right leg, thinking that if we could open up the right side, everything else would just kind of open itself up. So all total, I've lost 4 inches on the right leg and 3 on the left leg, because I have the intertwined problem of lymphedema and lipedema. So it has been really interesting to me, because the biggest problem I found was finding a shoe to fit. You know, I ordered like 3 pair of different bedroom shoes trying to make it fit over my foot, but it was a really good experience. I'd never had it done before. And it's a really big commitment too, because I had to go every single day. I went Monday through Friday. On Saturdays, I was able to take it off and wash the bandages and just leave it free Saturday night and Sunday. And I go back Monday, she wrap it again. So I graduated from that to Circade reduction kit. And I have to say, I prefer the wrapping. The wrapping consisted of a stockinette, and then a layer of cotton, a layer of foam, and several layers of ACE bandage wrap, different types of ACE bandage wraps. And so it was a very good experience. I'm glad I had it done. It kind of turned around my thinking about lymphedema, because I honestly, to be honest with everybody on here, I think I was kind of, even though I didn't want to admit to denial, I think I was still in there somewhere. And to me, what sent me to get it done was I'm having a lot of knee problems with the right knee. And I figure, okay, I need to get, something needs to open up better than it's open. And so it kind of pushed me to looking at the lymphedema through a different lens. I was not looking at it. I know it's, you know, a manageable condition, but I think I had gotten off the rails somewhat with managing it. And I just kind of like, well, maybe if I don't think about it, it'll go away. I honestly think deep down, that's what I thought. And so the CDT has really helped me a lot. My leg is not as heavy as it was before. And I actually feel a lot better.
That's
So
awesome.
if there's specific questions you want to ask me about it, that might be better, but that was my experience.
We do have a question about CDT specifically already in the Q&A box, but that's wonderful progress, Angela. I'm really excited for you. Sandy Darley asked, what kind of maintenance is required after CDT?
For me, I'm in the, and everybody can, give a different answer, but for me, I'm in the circ aid, and I don't have to use it all the time because amazingly enough, the leg is looking really, really good. And so I do the circ aid. I recently flew to North Carolina and back here to Arizona. So I had to use it, to kind of help with the air pressure and flying. So it did really well with that. And I don't wear it all the time, just whenever I feel like my leg is getting a little bit heavier. One other thing my therapist wanted me to spend a lot of time doing was just massaging the leg. And another thing I found out is to keep lotion on the leg. I love lotions. I love perfumed lotions. And I realized that they can be very drying. So every time I come out of that compression, the bandages that she was doing, my leg was all dry and itchy and peeling. So I had to pick a better lotion. That was a very important thing. And to continue to keep that leg moisturized as well.
That's great. Yeah, I always think of CDT as sort of like a tune-up time.
Yeah.
Whenever I do it, it's usually to get myself reduced and then ready to order new compression garments. So it's a grueling process, a lot of us know, but it's so worthwhile if you get the chance to do it. Does anyone else on the panel want to chime in about CDT or the maintenance that comes afterwards? Go ahead, Nasreen.
So with the CDT, after you're done with CDT, I still, and this is easier for me to say because I'm not the one doing it at home, but I like everyone to do some type of CDT still. So the complete decongestive therapy has this phase that Angela is in right now that is the real kind of aggressive phase. But then there's also the maintenance phase, and you're still going to do the skincare, the manual lymph drainage, the compression, and the exercise. So I think we still want you to do it to some degree. It might not be as intensive as that first phase that you're in, but we're still going to want you to do all those aspects of treatment as you go on. And of course, again, easier for me to say, I will take what my patients will give me. So it might not be daily. It could be half the amount that we would do in treatment. It could be, once a week. I'm okay with that. I want you to try to do it. But what I also like as part of our treatment is that I like you to learn what to do if you get into a space where you feel like things are a little bit more swollen. So I think that's part of it, is knowing how to manage it yourself to kind of get you back to where you're at a comfortable level.
Could we go over real quick too? And thanks, Nasreen, for explaining all of that. Some of the terminology we're using, not everyone's familiar with. Can someone give a nice, succinct definition of CDT, or complete decongestive therapy, aka the gold standard of lymphedema treatment? Who'd like to give a quick synopsis on what that means for those who might not know?
Well, as Nasreen mentioned, CDT has both an intensive and a maintenance phase. And there's 4 major components, which are compression and decongestion, skin care, and exercise. And to that, I think it's a given that education is part of it, but I always make a big deal that education is the glue that holds everything together. So with Angela in the intensive phase, bandaging is the preferred form of compression because it is the most aggressive. And that's why she liked it, is because it really provided a lot of containment. And before we had the new technology of quilted compression and the Velcro wrap compression, patients were expected to bandage themselves even in the maintenance phase at nighttime, and then wear an elastic garment during the daytime. And I remember when I found out 20 years ago about quilted garments, And I told one of my patients about them and said, you could do this instead of bandaging at night, or you could just put one bandage over the quilted garment. And she literally cried tears of joy, because bandaging can take a long time. It's very labor intensive and cumbersome, but as Nasreen mentioned, you gotta know what your emergency treatments are. If you blow up, bandaging is the way to go. And pumps are helpful. MLD is helpful. There's all kinds of things that can be helpful, but in terms of compression, bandaging really is the gold standard and the most powerful thing. So if we're looking at maintenance on one hand, where it's not like you do the intensive and then you give up treatment, because you need to keep it under control. And on the other hand, you've got the intensive phase where it's like boot camp, where it's a daily type of thing, where the compression's intensive, the decongestion is intensive, the exercise should be intensive, the skincare as well. So it's really kind of having that balance. And I know that in some cases, people kind of count on going and doing CDT once a year to bring them down, and then they don't do anything the rest of the year, and they slowly get more and more and more congested. And the problem with that is fibrosis. I'm sorry, I'm turning this into a lecture, but fibrosis is the enemy of mobility, safety, happiness. Fibrosis is an accumulation of fatty tissue that can occur with lymphedema if lymphedema is out of control. So that's why it's so important to have both of those little halves of treatment, the intensive to get you down, and then the maintenance to keep you down so that you're not developing fibrosis as a result of out of control swelling. So I hope that's helpful. Nasreen, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that really sums it up. Since you were talking about compression bandaging, somebody did ask a question in the chat about fast and go bandages. So I just figure I have definitely used them with my patients, and many of my patients love them. I have not had anyone have any difficulty using them. I have a patient, I think my oldest patient using them is 85 years old, and she's able to manage them, and it's so much easier for her than all the layers of bandaging. And it really does help to manage her swelling really well. And she is one who bandages every night because she finds the nighttime garments too hot. So the fast and go bandages are a really nice option for that. But I've had patients reduce in them. I have nothing but actually good things to say about them, except that it might be, nice if they were just at the store, you can pick them up. It's all online right now, as far as I know, for ordering.
Right.
Maybe someday they will be available at stores.
Yeah. Or Amazon, that would be amazing.
Well, you gotta be careful sometimes ordering from there. That's awesome. Any of the other patients on the panel have any experiences or input on their time doing CDT? If you've done CDT, or I can testimony real quick to that too. I had my last round of CDT I did in the fall, and they found that I was getting kind of that fibrosis and that thickening and density in my upper thigh. So I was using my Lympha Press with the leg sleeves, but it only went, up so far on my leg. But then I got the Lympha pants, which come up to here. And at my last follow-up appointment a week or two ago, that area has now softened, which is great because it's getting treated and it's getting that maintenance and that massage. So maintenance is so key, and it's the hard part because that's the part we have to do ourselves. But it's a process.
I've actually used the fast and go bandages, and I actually use them post-surgically, and I actually had some really, really good results from using them. We did realize, though, that they were not enough for my leg because of the stage of my lymphedema. And with the doctor's permission, what we did was we used a lighter compression that was made for my leg and wrapped on top of it lightly. And that did assist in reducing through even though I was in a compression garment underneath, it actually did reduce underneath through the compression garment, through the bandage, use of the bandage. And it was actually, it's very comfortable to use. I've been known to use them while on a trampoline. I've been known to use them while on my vibration plate, because they just kind of flow with the body, and they don't really bunch up behind the limb as easily as the traditional short stretch bandages that I found do. So it definitely makes a big difference, because if it's comfortable, you're more likely to be compliant about it than if it's uncomfortable.
Go ahead, Amanda, I saw you on mute.
Oh, I was trying to answer all the people in the chat.
I know it's a lot of chat.
Yeah, so for the link, it's, what is it, hybridbandaging.com. And for anybody wanting a 5% discount, I offer a promo code for ASOBI, but I use them religiously every night. I work out in them. The thing about bandaging, the old school versus new school. So the old school would be your stockinette with the foam bandaging and your short stretch bandages. And then the new school would be the fast and goes. The fast and goes have way less layers to use, but I also find they're a bit more intuitive to find the tension, to making it easier to apply on. If you struggle with, you know, your hands, especially our arm lymphies, I find it's very difficult to apply bandaging because you only have one arm to bandage, and the fast and go has a thumb anchor that will fasten and like sit on the hand, which is a huge asset. But it's that the thing that I had to learn the hard way, and I'm sure most of us related, when we have lymphedema, we think, oh, I'll just squeeze the crap out of this and it'll go right down. And then about 30 seconds later, you feel your toes or your fingers go whoosh, 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 and you realize, okay, that's way too tight. So I think I said this, if it's too tight, it's not right. If it's too loose, it's of no use. It's that happy medium of compression, of just getting the right tactile, the right fit, and fast and go really does a better job at getting that equal compression up the limb. And they feel like cotton. Like, I feel like I'm some Egyptian queen wearing them, because they go directly on your skin, unless if you're like Catherine that had to use an additional device. But they do wash amazingly well. They wash in the washing machine, dry in the dryer, surprisingly. I've had mine for 2 years now, and I think I'm getting like my first hole in them. That's after like wearing them, working out in them. So I do use them. Nasreen loves them. I think, Karen, have you used them yet? No?
I have. And yeah, people do love them. They're so much easier than bandaging. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of using different layers of compression.
Yes.
Because sometimes people need that quilted, especially if there's a lot of fibrosis. You can do it over an entire garment, or you can use a pad in a spot area. I noticed in the chat someone was talking about their knees, and you can get a little sleeve or a little pad to be able to get that knee area. So yeah, I mean, I mix and match compression all the time, but I've had good experience with fast and go also.
Perfect.
The one really cool piece about the fast and go is for somebody like me who has an adhesive allergy and I can't really use tapes very easily, it velcros to itself and connects to itself. So you do not need to use tape whatsoever to tape the bandages down, as well as the fact that it has the 50% overlap to help guide the patient on application of the bandage. And I haven't found that you can pull it too tight, in all honesty.
Oh, I have.
Oh, you have? I haven't been able to pull it too tight on my leg.
But, and can I and just a segue for compression bandaging, and I think everyone here would agree, if you're a beginner bandager, I think that the first thing that happens, if you're trying to do it on yourself, sometimes you're too loose with it, which will fall down. However, if you do effective bandaging and it still falls down, you really want to celebrate that, because you're reducing in size. So don't think that bandaging doesn't work for you. It's actually the reverse. It's totally working for you. That's why you have a pair to wash, hopefully, and a pair to wear. If you don't have a second backup system, unwrap it, unroll it, re-roll it, rewrap it. But you having loose bandages might just be the biggest celebratory moment that you've had, because it actually is doing its job by decongesting you. So everybody out there who has loose bandages, high five yourself, unwrap, rewrap, and keep on going.
That's
That's
good
it.
to
That's all I
hear.
got.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it's
one of
totally,
those.
it's totally true that that can happen, because I know after I had
Yeah.
surgery and my leg was reducing, I was rewrapping my leg 3, 4, 5 times a day because it was changing that much. So you really definitely got to pay close attention to what you're feeling compression wise. And if it is loosening, definitely don't wait too long to rewrap it, because if you wait too long, it's just going to swell into it.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely been one of those people that's intimidated by bandaging. I've never been a wrapper myself. I'm always nervous about, yeah, doing it, you know, too tight or too wrong. But that's where that education component that Karen and Nasreen were talking about earlier too is so important. Like, have your therapist show you how to do it and what your needs are. Susan McCoy just asked in the Q&A box, are those bandages up to the hips? And yeah, you can wrap you know, as far up as you need to with your therapist's instruction, of course, but always good to check with them. All right, the chat's been bumping, the Q&A's been bumping. It's been great start to the new year. New year. Oh my goodness, what a day it's been. So I thought, since it's 2024, our first roundtable of the new year, we can kind of talk about some things we're excited about this year. And one of the big ones is the Lymphedema Treatment Act goes into effect this month. And we already had a question about it. And what does it mean? So I'm going to pass the baton. I think Karen is definitely knowledgeable on this. If you could tell us a little bit about it and what it means. And in the meantime, I'll put some links in the chat from the Lymphedema Treatment Act's website that also goes more in depth on all of this too.
Great, thank you. Yeah, well, so that's the really big, hot, wonderful news, is that Medicare is now paying for compression garments. And the hitch is that you need to go to a vendor that can bill Medicare, because not all vendors do. So that's really, really important. And then it's also important to know what's covered. So both upper extremities and lower extremities, custom and ready-to-wear garments are covered, and accessories such as pads, liners, zippers, etc., donning aids like a butler, that type of thing are covered. And so, as we understand it now, Medicare will cover 3 daytime garments or wraps per affected body area every 6 months, and 2 nighttime garments per affected body area every 2 years. So I want to just say a few things about Medicare and about this coverage, because you probably heard me say at the very beginning, upper extremities and lower extremities. Did I say torso? No. Did I say genitals? No. Did I say abdomen? No. And this is because Medicare, in their wisdom, thinks that people only swell in their arms and legs. And we see that often in pump coverage, where Medicare will cover arms and legs. And sometimes pump companies can bill for torso and abdomen components, and sometimes Medicare will cover them and sometimes they won't. So we're seeing that carry over into compression garments as well. So it's better than nothing, but it does mean that we're just looking at arms and legs. Let's also talk about the types of Medicare, because if you have a Medicare HMO, all bets are off. You're going to have to go through the authorization process with your HMO to get your garments pre-authorized, and your HMO may have restrictions that are different than straight Medicare. So that's something to be aware of. Another thing to be aware of is that there may be co-pays, because this is medical equipment paid through Part B. And typically, people will buy a Medicare supplement policy that will cover the unmet part that Medicare doesn't cover. So with Part B, Medicare pays 80%, and then a supplemental policy will cover 20%. That's where the HMOs try to seduce everyone by saying, hey, we'll cover it all. But that's not always true, because they have all these conditions. So if you sense that I'm a little hard on Medicare HMOs, you better believe it, because I have patients that are really happy when they start the HMO, and then when they actually have to use it, they're finding that they have to pay up to $6,000 for radiation therapy and a copay, etc. So I think that's all I have to say. Nasreen, do you have anything to add? Have you actually, I know that the year is only 9 days old, but have you had anyone start this process yet?
I have started many people on the process, and nothing has gone anywhere yet. So I have sent all my stuff to vendors that are patients who I knew were needing garments. They maybe already have garments, and you're going to be my guinea pigs, because I want to know what they need. So the one thing that I would add to that, first off, is that some people wear compression garments who have Medicare maybe don't have a diagnosis of lymphedema. And I just have to say this because this is the Lymphedema Treatment Act. So you do need to have a diagnosis of lymphedema. And I know that sounds obvious, but I have had people come into the clinic already and say, oh, my compression garments are covered now. And they just want sex covered because they have Medicare, and that's not the case for this. So they don't have that diagnosis code. So you do need that. We will still need a prescription from the doctor. What we're still trying to figure out is what all Medicare requires to say, bless us with, the garments. So we're sending in our clinical notes, we're sending in a lot of stuff. So if you maybe are somebody who has never had garments before or never had therapy before, and we do need to send notes in maybe for a custom garment, it might not be an immediate process. We might not be able to see you. In any case, we probably need to work with you to get you ready to get measured for garments, but we might not immediately be able to say, here you go, let's get you ready for garments. We do have to say what stage the patients are in for garments, as far as I know. They do want our clinical notes, a prescription. So it's a little bit more than just maybe before you would take your prescription to the local drug mart, or well, that's our store, but like a drugstore and get it filled there. So it seems like it's going to be a little bit more of paperwork. So you do really need to work with either your physician or with your therapist, probably, to have this process happen. And then I think it should be a little bit more of a, relaxed thing after you're in the system, but I'm not sure about that either. But I'm trying. I will let you know as soon as I get somebody authorized. I will let everyone know once I get those garments in.
That's fantastic. And another thing to consider is that Medicare has different regions. And so somebody in one part of the country might have one experience, but depending on your Medicare region, it may vary. So as Nasreen said, we've got a bunch of guinea pigs here starting out, and we're all going to learn together.
Awesome. Thank you. All that makes my head spin. And we had Shirley in the chat said, thank you for all this wonderful information. I hadn't heard about any of it. So we're so grateful that you're so knowledgeable about it, the two of you, and can share what this means, because it is confusing. We hear, that we're going to get coverage. And of course, our minds jump to, oh, utopian lymphedema world where we're all getting garments. And unfortunately, it's more complicated than that. So thank you for that breakdown. Patricia in the Q&A. Oh, go ahead.
Can I just comment real quick on something else? It's kind of related to the Lymphedema Treatment Act, but not necessarily directly. Just make sure that you re-verify your current benefits if you do not have Medicare, to make sure that your benefits for lymphedema products have not changed. Because of the Lymphedema Treatment Act, some insurance companies may have changed their coverage. And if they change their coverage, I'm going to suggest that you be very vocal about the fact that they changed your coverage and really like advocate for yourself on why you need what you need and the quantities that you need in a year, so that this way you can get what you need to maintain your condition to the best ability that you have.
Yeah, and we got a question from Patricia who asked, how long does it take for other insurance companies to catch on and do the same thing? And that's kind of the big question for all of us too. And I think it might take a little while. I see our therapists shaking their heads, yes, too.
You know,
I think it, oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
oh, I'm sorry, Nasreen. I was just going to say, I feel like a lot of insurances look to Medicare and that Medicare has the more stringent requirements. But I think that a lot of insurances use Medicare as a model. And Nasreen, what were you going to say?
You know, I did hear that Medicare is going to kind of base, but like this is what they're covering now. And I've also heard that we as therapists really need to try for the custom garments, the night garments, because they may again readjust what they're covering within the next year or two, dependent on what people are asking for. So if it seems that everyone is only asking for like a knee-high 20 to 30 garment, and I'm sorry if people don't know what that is, but more of a basic garment rather than a custom, maybe garment that needs to be made just for them, that might be more expensive. They may only cover the cheaper version of the garment. So I've heard that there may be down the road, so they really want us to try to get the patients exactly what they need right now and really try this for our patients. Since I've heard that, I would imagine insurance companies probably wouldn't make any changes till they know where Medicare is finally going to lay, right? If there is possibility of changes in the next couple of years, even with this treatment act, I would imagine it would take probably a couple of years. That would just be a guess. But it did, I could be completely off, but I think it took, how many years has this Lymphedema Treatment Act taken to even take
12.
effect? 12,
I think
12 years? Yeah, so it's a long time. 12 years for Medicare. So when we're saying about the other insurances catching up, I mean, this is not a quick process by any means.
And I encourage anyone who has any more questions to look at the PDF I put in the chat. I can send the link again, but the Lymphedema Treatment Act on their website, they have a pretty thorough FAQ document that kind of goes over all of these nuts and bolts kind of parts of it. So I'm going to put that in here real quick. Now, we got a question from Ashok who says, does use of Lympha Press lead to progressive reduction in swelling? And I love this question, and we've gotten a lot of comments in the chat too throughout the evening of people who are happy pumpers, and we love to read that too. So let's talk about pumps. Doesn't have to be Lympha Press. Of course, this is Lympha Press Roundtable, but we welcome, different things work for different people. So pneumatic compression in general, how does that work as part of the lymphedema treatment toolkit for patients, and why does it work?
I'll tell you, I did a retrospective patient satisfaction survey, and I had patients who had access to everything in terms of equipment. They had great insurance companies that would pay for any kind of compression garment, pneumatic compression, treatment, you name it. And so I surveyed the patients. It was like a dozen questions in terms of what were they using? What did they find the easiest to use? And what I found was that pneumatic compression and quilted compression were right up at the top of the list. And if anyone knows me, you know that I love the two together, that they work so well together. And part of it is because I look at my patients, and the quilted compression's so easy. You just pull it on, and then you can either put an elastic compression sleeve over it or bandage over it, or even a wrap. And it's so effective. And same thing with pneumatic compression. It gives people a lot of bang for their buck in terms of making it easy, making it a daily ritual. And I will talk about the fact that there are lots of different pumps out there, and I make it my business to become acquainted with everything that I possibly can. And I have to say that I get a lot of patients that come to me that need a different pump that end up going to Lympha Press because whatever pump they have for whatever reason isn't working out. It almost never works the other direction. If somebody has Lympha Press, they use Lympha Press. It's not sitting in the closet. And I think the reason for that is that Lympha Press has a high degree of versatility in terms of a range of pressures, a range of programming, a range of appliances, and a lot of other features. So that's just my 2 cents, just as a clinician researcher in terms of what I've found looking at my patient caseload and what works for them. So, and as I talk to other clinicians, I find that this is pretty true, nationwide and even worldwide.
Appreciate your perspective, Karen. I've used a couple different pumps too before I got my job at Lympha Press even, and I had my Lympha Press prior to this position too, and it is very easy to use. And we talk a lot about morning pumping, and some of us are night pumpers. I'm a night pumper, and I love end of the day, getting in my pump, watching my programs. I always fall asleep without fail every time, but it is really nice when you kind of reframe it as me time, which is helpful. And Catherine, go ahead. I see your hand raising.
So I will tell you. So I was a very young child when I got my very first Lympha Press. I was about 12. And I will never forget that actually my very first Lympha Press rep was Eric Ansart, who's the president of Lympha Press USA. And we joked around actually the other day when I was talking to him about the fact that the very first compression pump that I had from Lympha Press lasted 15 years. Now, mind you, I was 12. God only knows what I did to that thing to hide it because I didn't want to use it. So I probably threw it under the bed. I was a little kid. So just know that these compression pumps, yes, your insurance company does cover a new one every 3 to 5 years, depending on your insurance company, but they're going to last longer than that. So, and especially I know for a fact that the Lympha Press does last a lot longer than that. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you are, deciding, do I get that pneumatic compression device to really help me manage my condition, depending on what your allowance is for copays and things like that, and how much it actually is going to cost you. Because if you do get 5, 7, 10 years out of it, then it really does become a good financial investment for your lymphedema and your medical condition. I'll call it a financial investment. So just keep that in the back of your mind, because in reality, I don't know that I can live without mine. I literally bring it everywhere. It goes on vacation with me because it needs to be there.
And you've got a great tip about traveling with pumps too, Catherine. I know you're a resident travel girly every month.
Which tip are we talking about?
How to bring your pump as a check or a carry-on.
Oh, that one.
That one.
That one is a good one, and how to actually make it fit into a small suitcase that I can pull without having to worry about the weight of it. Yes.
But tell the people what the trick is with it being a carry-on, because it's a medical device.
Oh, yes. So it is a medical device, so it does not count against your carry-on bag. So I can still have my backpack that has my purse inside and anything else that I need. And this one does not count. So I get to just bring it right on the airplane with me. And I do not let them take it from me and put it underneath the airplane. It goes on the airplane. The flight attendants don't necessarily always like that, but I don't give them choice. Unless I tell them that they're going to, if they're going to pay for it if it gets damaged underneath the plane, then we'll talk. But they don't, when I tell them the cost, they don't typically want to say that they're going to pay for it.
I love that.
I want to put in a plug, speaking of travel. I'm so stoked because I'm putting together a panel of experts, some of whom you actually see here in front of you. And we're going to be doing a webinar in March. And this is going to be recorded. It'll be available on the Lympha Press website. And it's going to be all things travel. And I know that travel is such a hot topic. So what's exciting to me is that we're going to get a lot of information all in one place. And then I'm hoping that we can do a thought leadership piece that's in print so that people can see it both ways. They can either see the recording or they can refer to it as an article, because I am humbled by all of the amazing tools and tricks that people in this group have talked about. And it's going to be so exciting to put them all together in one place.
Yay, you heard it here first. Now, I'm thinking, since we're already, gosh, at 8:40, time always flies in our roundtable. It's the new year. I'm a sucker for the new year. I love the symbolism and the ritual around a new start and all of that. So I wanted to ask the panel, and I'm going to put a survey function in the chat too, so you all can chime in too. What is your word for 2024 to set your theme for the year, whether it's an intention, a goal, your guiding star for the year? I want to know what your word is for 2024. If you'll humor me, I put the poll in too, so everybody can chime in if they'd like to. So anyone want to start? Do you have a word for the year? Amanda.
I can't type in my thing, so I'll just, oh, I can't even close it off. There you go. I'll just say what it is. I'm going to use 2 words, and sorry, I am, but my thing that I've been focusing on this year is my consistency of my intentions. I think it's really important to have intentions, but if you're not consistent with them, especially when it comes to these illnesses like lymphedema, lipedema, and lipolymphedema, it's you're gonna be on the losing side. I hate to tell you. So the consistency of my intentions is what I'm focusing on, and so far I'm off to a great start.
I like that. Catherine.
My word for the year to start off the year is perseverance, because you have to really persevere through all your current situations, whether they are challenging or they're easy, and really work with your body and your own personal toolkit of what you have to make it work for you.
Go ahead, Nasreen.
I guess my word of the year would be family, which, goes without saying. I have a 17-year-old and I'm worried about her leaving for college, so she needs to be my focus. But if any of you are my patients out there, you are also my family. So if any of you are on here, everyone is my family. You are all welcome to my love. Why don't we just make it love? How about that?
That's good. That's all encompassing. Angela or Karen?
I think for me, it's about flexibility, because I'm looking at becoming a gypsy. And as we speak, 90% of all my stuff is already packed and in storage. And I am literally packing up bins that are going to be going in our van, just so that I can see, okay, how much stuff do I need to survive and what can I live without? So I've been scaling down progressively. I guess the other part of flexibility is I've really learned the lesson to never say never, because invariably I end up eating my words. So it's about being flexible in my thinking, as well as my living space and my work and all that good stuff.
A lot of good stuff. That's wonderful. Angela.
I have a word and a phrase. The word is do. I learned the hard way that I don't always do everything that I can do to make something better, but my phrase almost contradicts the word, because the phrase is, and I learned a lot of lessons last year, and they were very difficult and painful lessons. But the phrase I got from learning those things I learned was, sometimes you have to be satisfied with good. Don't try to make it great. And I figured that out the hard way. I suffered a lot of pain because I tried to make something that was already good, great. So that is the thing that I've walked into the new year thinking is to do, but also if it's good, sometimes you just have to accept good and don't fight for great. Just for me.
Like that too. I think mine would be open-hearted. I think I get so in my head, and I tend to project or fill in the blanks myself on what I think other people might mean or whatever. And I think I need to approach things with a more open heart, including myself and my lymphedema, and be a little more forgiving of that. So that's going to be my guiding star for the year. We've got some great words in the chat. Lena says commitment is her word. Susan, that's a good one. Ashley says, my goal for the new year is to better understand this and how to keep it in check. That's always a great goal, no matter what time of year. And I'm going to close the poll and read through some other people's words. So I'll give you a few more minutes to get your words in if you'd like, and we'll read them at the end. In the meantime, we never got Amanda's rundown. Back in November, it was the Canadian Lymphedema Framework Conference, and we'd love to hear what's going on with our neighbors up north in the world of lymphedema. And we haven't had you on for a little while, Amanda, so we'd love to hear what the experience was.
Well, it was busy. I am never amazed. You know, you always prep before you go into a conference and you're like, okay, it's going to be really busy. And it just never ceases to amaze how busy it can get. I ended up volunteering. It was such a privilege to be there. But I think when you volunteer, there were so many rooms and so many presentations, and you just wanted to do it all, and I couldn't. So I felt a little bit wishing that there was more of me, obviously, so I could take it all in. Got a chance to end up meet a lot of Canadian social media influencers, a lot of Canadian, medical professionals, Canadian vendors that were there. And it was really neat, as I don't know if people really know my story, but like I was diagnosed in 2001, and I never met anybody with lymphedema until about 20 years into it. So walking into this conference was just so amazing to be able to surround myself with you guys for the first time in my life. So I was very awestruck. What did I learn? Just that everything is, I really believe that the States has been putting Canada in a chase to get progress. I'm not too sure if I should leak this out, but the International Lymphedema Framework and the Canadian Lymphedema Framework are getting together to do their symposium in 2025. So that's going to be really, really huge. So I really feel that the States has put this path with the Lymphedema Treatment Act, really getting, everyone's feathers ruffled per se with regards to looking at lymphedema as a disease. And there's just so much talk. Everything is becoming way more progressive. And I know people are sitting at home that it can't come fast enough. But I have to tell you, every patient, every medical professional, every medical company, the more that we band together, there's always work to be done. If we could just band together, raise our voices, have that advocacy, we're going to get so much further. And as a patient, I stayed in the shadows for years. I thought someone else should go and make the difference, or someone else should be doing the job. But it really does take a tribe of people. So my words of wisdom to you all is, if you're sitting at home not knowing how to get involved, showing up to forums like this is a great place to start. Meeting and saying hi to people, getting to see people in your community. I do know for a simple fact that our lymphatic community, whether it be Canada, the States, or international, we are a fabulous team of fabulous people. We just care and love, and we just want everybody to get healthy. I had the privilege of submitting a poster presentation, as you can see in the background, and I was a lucky recipient to win for the People's Choice Award that started my journey as a patient, turned myself into a prodigy, and now I'm the president for the Lymphedema Association of Manitoba. So it was really cool to you know, to kind of stick my chest out a little bit and take some recognition. I don't really take for myself. I don't sit there and look at my accomplishments. I that's not something that I sit here and do. So that was nice to kind of stop it and take a moment. I'm sorry, I wish I had more information about all the things that I learned, but it's just so overwhelming that I can't really think of anything. I've been sitting here all day thinking what to say, but it was great getting yourself immersed into community. So again, people that are sitting at home, being part of your forums, learning out where your symposiums are, learning out where, you know, these therapists, doctors, patients, building that tribe around you. I've been seeing everyone's chats pop up, just being, this is such great information. You know, you're doing the right thing by surrounding yourself with the people who are willing to help you and are willing to guide you. So with that, I hope for 2024, if you haven't been to a symposium or if you haven't plugged in, this is kind of your little wake up call to really just get to that next level. Don't be afraid. We all love each other. Nasreen set us up for love this year, so we're totally covered. But yeah, I just think surround yourself with people who have gone ahead of you, and don't be afraid to look back to help those behind you.
I really love that. And I think too, I mean, sometimes it's hard for patients, especially, to get to some of these events. But education is so important. That's been another theme tonight. Organizations like Lymphatic Education and Research Network, even we at Lympha Press, we have a lot of great webinars on YouTube, as does Learn. So those are great to pop on, even just in the background when you're pumping or when you're doing the dishes or something. You can kind of, you know, start saturating yourself with this information. And as far as the social aspect, I mean, meeting other patients in person is so perspective changing, life changing. I just did a collaboration on Instagram with some other lymphy patients around the country, around the world, really. And it was funny because we were like, gosh, we used to feel so alone. And now we're doing videos together about our shared experiences. Who knew that there were others out there? So getting to meet people virtually or in person, it's really important to do that if you can. Go ahead, Amanda.
And I think too, like from a patient to a patient, when you see someone else similar to you doing the work, doing what we know, all the therapists and like Karen and Nasreen are like, yes, preach it. But when you see another patient do the steps that you know that you need to do, you're just that much more encouraged to do what you've got to do. And I'm certain people are at home or hopefully leaving this conversation, or at least putting that pump on while listening to us, or doing some manual lymphatic drainage while listening to us, because they know that, okay, they're not the only person out there doing manual lymphatic drainage, or bandaging or pumping or whatever it may be, or getting up and going for a walk. And I just think to support yourself along the journey, I've had to really take the ownership that if I needed to make the change, I had to do the work. I can rely on my therapist or my doctor, or I can, you know, call my best friend and cry and complain. But at the end of the day, nothing gets done unless I do it. And when you go to these forums, whether it be online or in person, you just feel that much more empowered to do the work, do what you can, learn, be flexible. If something's not quite working, learn how to adjust. If you're being too hard on yourself, being good is good enough. You know, if you got to travel somewhere, make sure you check a medical device so you get it. Like, you learn all these hacks and these tips, and just think that if we can share this, you know, globally, and just learn that compassion goes a really long way. Compassion for yourself and compassion goes towards others. You can make a difference with this disease. You can do it. We've seen it done. We're all sitting here. We're laughing. We're happy some days, most days, not all days. But it is possible to make a difference. So thank you, guys. I think I'm running out of air and steam, so I'm going to pass it back.
No, I love that though. And I love the concept of having that compassion too, because that is so hard. I think we've all been in that space where we resent our lymphedema. We're angry at our bodies. They're going out of our control and we don't know what to do or how to cope with it. Or we're just tired of having to be responsible for it, for the care and stuff. But there's this quote, and I can't remember who says it, but it's basically like you can be miserable or you can be happy, and the amount of work is the same. And I think when it comes to our lymphedema, like we have to put in the work either way. If we're going to be having that pity party where we're just like marinating in the grief and the resentment, I mean, we can have those moments, but we can't stay in there. And we talk about that a lot. Catherine famously has said that a lot on our roundtables too, about the pity party. But you know, lifting yourself out of it and taking that accountability, it's tough, and it's something we all have to do and get to that point, but it's so worth it.
And we understand,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's different from someone who doesn't have this condition. Like, it might be a spouse or a sister or a friend, and you see them, they're not manual lymphatic drainage when they're watching a show. They're not in their pump. They don't have to watch what they eat. They don't have to wrap. They don't have to pay for supplies. And you get in this ho-hum thing, right? But we're on this side of like, yeah, let's do it. It's super exciting. If your bandages fall down, just unwrap and rewrap. You're good to go. High five. Like, you know, like yeah, sorry. I get really excited about empowering people to take just that one step. You don't have to do all the steps if you're a beginner, but just take that one step to know. And I think every single person that I've worked with or seen, if you set an intention, see, there's my word of the day. If you set that intention to say, I'm going to go walking for 5 minutes, every single person gets super excited because they made a goal and they stuck to it, and then they get the check mark for doing it. So that one little habit fills you up with such gloriousness because you've done it and you did it. So yeah, I just go free, my children, and go take care of yourselves and try to embrace it. And if you need a buddy, reach out. We're all on social media. You have people in the chat that are so awesome that want to say hi to one another. Link up with another person that's similar to you. But don't compare yourself to the people who don't have to do what we do. You're not going to find any happiness there.
Yeah, and we're getting so many lovely messages in the chat right now too, and we're so appreciative of you all being here with us tonight. We are kind of coming down to the last few minutes, and I did want to read through our list of words, and I think I'm going to include in the replay email, I'll do a little word cloud with all of our words too, so you can all see them, as well as the links that were shared for the finding a therapist resources. But we've got some great inspiring words, so I'm just going to read through them in my best reader voice. We have patience, love, self-love, strong, compassion, pump on, nothing is impossible, healing, progress, Jesus, Om, resilience, empowerment, I can count, just do it, manage my lymphedema better, respect myself and others, health and healthy. And that's a great list. And we have more in the chat too. Resilience, that's such a good one and such an important quality to have and to cultivate when living with this. So we're glad you're all here and staying resilient with us. And we are here literally every month, every second Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll pop the link in the chat so you can register for next month if you haven't yet. It'll be Valentine's Day Eve, February 13th is our next meeting. So wear your red if you'd like to spend Valentine's Day Eve with us. We'll be your galentines. We're so grateful you're all with us tonight, and we take your time very seriously, and we're just so honored that you're spending it with us. The replay email will go out in about a week once we get the recording all edited. We also have a podcast version where you can listen to an audio version of the roundtables. All the past ones are on there too, including our lipedema roundtable. So we invite you to check that out. That's also great to listen to while you're in your pump or doing your MLD. And yeah, we hope you have a really wonderful, happy, healthy new year. We're so glad you're with us tonight. Amanda, how are you getting the hearts to pop up with you?
You know, I'm like super special. I did a software update and this is what happens.
Well, I guess
can
I
I do
need
my
to
can I do my demonstration? Do I got like 2 minutes?
Yeah, you can do your demonstration.
Hey,
Sure.
we got the thumbs up. We got the thumbs down. Oh,
Oh, we don't have that negativity here. Oh, there it goes.
hey, we got the fireworks.
Oh,
Oh, we got the bad days.
oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why it's not. It's not. You saw the rainstorms. We got some celebration. And then we got some love.
Alexa, I think we all need to do this update, huh?
I think we need to update our Zoom software so that
It
we
works
can
on
also...
WhatsApp, FaceTime, Zoom, Teams. I found Teams today does it. It doesn't do the middle finger, people. I've tried. I'll save you all. Yeah. And it doesn't do the A-OK, but you know, and then it doesn't do high fives. I thought like high fives would be cool, like, you know, like if
Yeah.
Nasreen and I could I tried, but it doesn't. So anyways, there you go, people.
Okay, New Year's resolution, update Teams and video conferencing software so we can do all the fun reactions.
Yeah, isn't
next
that
month.
wild?
Oh man. All right. Well, Lela, she sums it up for us in the chat. She says, be empowered one day at a time. We can't say it any better. And we're so glad to see all of you here tonight, as we said. So please join us next month. If you don't catch the replay on YouTube or on our podcast, we are so grateful for you all. We're so pumped that you're here with us tonight. And we hope you have a fantastic rest of your month. And we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.